Texas Tech baseball continues to roll. How long do we think it will last? The World Baseball Classic is underway. Do we like the U.S.'s chances? Is Patrick Mahomes a first rounder? And what do we think about the recent big moves in the NFL? Find out next. MCTV Sports 101 starts now. Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to MCTV Sports 101. I'm Kyle Stafford.
And I'm Billy Ingle. Make it 3 straight versus top 10 opponents as the Texas Tech baseball team cruised past number 4 Arizona 13-1 on Tuesday night. The Red Raiders, who are up to number 6 in the latest polls, are now 12-2 on the year. Kyle, just how impressive has this recent stretch been by Tech?
Oh, it's been really impressive. I mean, you're talking about 4 straight top 15 opponents. If you had A&M in there, I know that was a loss. I think we were probably really disappointed at that.
Yeah, the only one we really wanted to get. You know,
I mean, but if you would have told me that Tech would have went 3-1 in this 4-game stretch, I mean, you know, it wouldn't have been hard to lead, but I mean, I would have been fine with a split 2-2 because these are 4 of the top teams in the country. We know LSU's always there. A&M was a win away last year, and Arizona was the runner-up.
And I think Ole Miss that we played, though, I think Ole Miss has been a little bit overhyped, and they showed that in their recent.
But they're still a top 10 team.
They're still a top 10 team. Yeah. They got swept in the Classic, so I'm just saying that.
TCU #1 in the country. Baylor was undefeated coming in, so it was a tough Classic.
No, but I completely agree with you. I am completely amazed with, or not amazed, but impressed by what Texas Tech is doing.
Because I mean, we knew Tech would be good, but did we expect them to be this good coming in, especially with a lot of freshmen on this team?
Exactly. You know, with some key players, you know, moving on from last year's team. So, you know, how did we fare that we would get back to the College World Series? And right now, I think we're on a fast-paced track to get right back where we were last year and even do better than we did.
Honestly, I think Tech is, after this week, if they play well against UTSA, which I expect them to probably sweep the weekend series, they got their 3 best pitchers in Davis Martin, Stephen Ginger, and Ryan Shetter going. If they sweep this series, don't be surprised if Tech is in the top 3 of the rankings, and that would make the 2 of the top 3 teams out of the Big 12, as TCU will, of course, remain #1. They are the best team in college baseball right now. But, hey, that's going to be a big series when TCU comes to town because that's a potentially maybe top 5 matchup. Oh, yeah. But real quick, Tanner Gardner, he's been red hot. We talked about it a little bit. He finally got going off to a rough start this year, but he's now above 200. Had been below 100.
And not only that, with a key clutch hit to win that game against LSU in those final minutes. They did get lucky a little bit off the pitcher's shoe, you know, little shenanigans, but you know what? I'll take it.
Luck goes a long ways in baseball.
It does, it does.
The World Baseball Classic is underway as the U.S. will begin play tonight against Colombia. Billy, do you like the Team USA's chances in the Classic?
I mean, overall, I don't really think so. I mean, they got a tough route to get to the championship, and the pool that they're in, they've got the Dominican Republic, which is some see as a favorite, trying to come back and repeat their title that they have. You know, with Colombia and Canada, I think they're all beatable teams. You know, we do have good players on the roster. So, but even if we were to advance out of pool play, coming into that, we'll have to face the winners out of Pool D, which is Italy, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela, which are all good teams in their own. So,
well, I think they'll advance out of the pool rounds, but, you know, this roster is loaded offensively, but there's just not enough depth pitching-wise. I mean, you're talking about your ace starter is Chris Archer, which he's an ace, but he's coming off a rough year. You have Andrew Miller right there, but look at the Dominican Republic, Venezuela. Those are my 2 favorites. Their lineups are stacked, but they have great arms as well, whether they're in the bullpen or starting. I think it's going to come down between the Dominican Republic and Venezuela because I don't see the USA. They've never advanced very far in the 4 years that they've been in.
The farthest USA has been is the semifinals. Yeah. So that just shows you right there about, you know, how diverse the MLB is and just see where all these different players come from. And just a quick moment, I want to note out some notable names for the Dominican Republic. That these are household names that have played for this team. You've got Carlos Santana, you've got Robinson Cano, Manny Machado, Jose Batista, Nelson Cruz, and Jean Segura. I mean, these are all great
Hanley
players.
Ramirez is on that roster. Juris Familia, the closer for the Mets. I mean, they got power arms out of that bullpen.
And so just to think, you know, I believe the Dominican Republic is the favorite. Like you said, Venezuela is a strong team. There's some other ones out there that can be contenders. But, you know, I think this is their tournament to win.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the U.S. will win at least a couple games, but they won't advance very far.
No. Texas Tech's own Patrick Mahomes participated in the NFL Combine, which came to an end this past weekend. Kyle, did Mahomes improve his draft stock, and where do you see him being taken?
Oh, his draft stock is skyrocketing.
It went up.
I mean, there's rumors going around that he's potentially going to be the first quarterback off the board. I don't think
I heard that too, but I think me and you both talked about it. I don't think necessarily that will happen.
I think his talent is worthy of being the first one off the board, but he comes from Texas Tech and this air raid system.
The stigma that comes with this school.
I mean, we've heard, the best arm people have seen since Brett Favre, and we've heard, he's going to be an impact starter in maybe 2 or 3 years. I mean, I'll tell you, if he goes to a good situation, and, I think we talked about the Texans. A lot of people were picking them to go ahead and take them with that 25th pick. Say they didn't get Tony Romo and Patrick Mahomes did come there and that was the guy. I would think he'd be successful with that type of team around him. But I do think he needs a year because he's got to learn to set his feet a little better. He can make plays.
Oh, he can make plays. Yeah. But just like you said, he's got to work on those timing, precision throws, working on a 5-step drop from under center. These are things that I know he can do.
But we don't want to take away from him himself either.
See, now you say the Texans, one team that I think would be just phenomenal for him to go to. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers with an aging Ben Roethlisberger who retirement questions have been up in the air. And so just and not only that, the same style of play with Big Ben and Patrick Mahomes, the bigger type guy, big arm, gets to shifty in the pocket but not necessarily too fast. I think ideally for Patrick Mahomes in his best possible career, Pittsburgh is somewhere where I would want to land.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he should go to the Texans. I actually like Arizona. I think Arizona is the better, the best fit, them or Pittsburgh, just to learn under a veteran quarterback and take over. But we'll see. The NFL draft, it's coming up. It's getting close.
It's exciting.
Yeah. The new NFL season starts today, and teams have been very active. Billy, what do you think about some of the big moves?
Well, first off, I think the Cleveland Browns have done it again, have just shown why they are the Cleveland Browns and nobody wants to play for them.
Yep.
They pick up they trade for Brock Osweiler and take on his contract and only get a second round pick.
Well, they get a second round and then a 2017 sixth round.
Okay.
But the Texans get the fourth round of the Browns this year.
And so when you look at, even then, those are not, substantial. The second round pick is the highest one. The fourth and the sixth, they can be useful, but those aren't very promising. You look at the Cleveland Browns and what are they doing?
They're not going to keep Brock Osweiler. Most likely, we've heard that they're going to try and trade or release him, which I think that's to be expected. But there's still a lot of money in Brock Osweiler's contract, which means they're going to have to eat some of that money. It seems like from what we've heard and what we read, it seems like the Browns are going to have to eat some of that. So they did make a good move with potentially signing Kenny Britt today. I'll give them that.
They do, and they're not a completely at fault this entire offseason. But I just think with this loss they're going to take on with Brock Osweiler, I don't see any other teams that are going to be shopping too heavily for him.
Oh, they're going to have to release him.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, eventually someone's going to have to pay that guaranteed money, and it looks like it's going to fall upon the Browns if we've read our things right, if we've read our sources. But moving on from that, just to look at some other ones, you got Deshaun Jackson going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's a big sign for Tampa Bay.
That's a big sign for Tampa Bay, trying to keep pace with Atlanta and other teams like Carolina and New Orleans in that division. Another one we saw, what was it?
Mike Glennon signed today. There's reported to sign with the Chicago Bears after they released Jay Cutler. And Mike Glennon got some money. 3 years, $45 million, $19 million guaranteed for a guy who's probably not going to play very much.
How many snaps do you have?
I've heard everyone's talking about Mike Glennon like he's a superstar quarterback. Like he's the best quarterback available.
He's a suitable backup and maybe potential
He's
starter.
A little better Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
He's the same size. He's the same size as him. Brock Osweiler technically has more career wins than him.
And I don't see the move. A lot of crazy things have been happening.
Well, Alshon Jeffrey signing with the Eagles was a big move as well.
I think that's probably the biggest and most impactful trade to a team. Also, Brandon Marshall going to the New York Giants.
Yeah, that was big.
The NFC East is just stacking up this year, trying to make it tough for my Cowboys to make another run.
And then Tony Romo's most like now going to be traded to
We heard
the
reports that he was
Denver,
going to be released, but now with all the moves that the Texans made, and also what was it, Bouye moving?
AJ Bouye goes to the Jaguars, so rival in the division. He got paid as well, $26 million guaranteed.
He got a nice hefty contract. So I'm interested to see where all these pieces end up landing.
Yeah.
And so we still got two big pieces on the board.
Yeah.
Where will Tony Romo land? And also the other quarterback, Jay Cutler. Where will they go?
And keep an eye, Kirk Cousins. There's rumors he wants out of Washington. He met with Dan Snyder today, asked for a trade. So Patriots are considering some trade moves. So keep an eye. There's a lot to be left.
A lot of pieces moving, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. Well, that's our show for this week's edition of MCTV Sports 101. Join us next week for the latest big name stories in sports. I'm Kyle Stafford.
And I'm Billy Ingle. Till next time.